A new person is named by Gavin Newsom. LaFonza Butler is her name. She is a person who runs this pro-abortion group, Emily's List. Selected to be the next governor after Dianne Feinstein died on Friday, late Thursday, I guess, but announced Friday. And the woman doesn't even live in California as required by the Constitution, but they'll quickly change that and make sure she has a house or an apartment or at least a rental unit of some sort in California before she comes in. It's just blatant disregard of the Constitution. The woman lives in Maryland, has for many years now, but they want her to be the senator because she's black, she's gay, she runs an abortion center. I mean, she checks all the boxes, right?
Well, under our Constitution, that which is, by the way, still the rule of law for our nation, and we're supposed to have some respect, for the law. In fact, it's supposed to be the thing that maintains order in our society and preserves our liberties. Increasingly, if the other side just doesn't like what's in the Constitution, they seem to ignore it. And the American Constitution, as amended, clearly says that you have 2 senators in each state, and they are from each state. And so once again, to advance a far leftist kind of political agenda, that's made, in their mind, supersedes their requirement to follow the law. Now, my hope is that, before she actually becomes a senator, before she actually holds the power to operate within the constitutional republic in the legislative branch, that somebody actually, tells her that, and that, she becomes, a citizen of or a resident of the place that she's supposed to be representing. She's not representing, when she casts a vote, the citizens of Maryland. They already have 2 senators there. They don't need a third. They're not allowed to have a third. But again, my concern is the complete disregard for what is our nation's rule of law, what is our nation's constitutional foundation, whenever you disagree with the provision that you're supposed to be bound by as delegated, from we the people. If we think we know better than the people, if we think we are wiser than we the people, then we don't have to, follow we the people's, constitutional framework. And that's a very dangerous place to be in our constitutional republic.
Yeah, it is a dangerous place. They don't care about such things. These rules are antiquities of days gone by. They think they're just so, they're so quaint. This thing we call the Constitution, and they don't care much for the Constitution. And here's the other thing, coming up in front of the Supreme Court, speaking of some of these things, and I know you've talked about this, I want to ask you about this real quickly, the Chevron doctrine, back in front of the Supreme Court in this session again, because of the overreach, the unconstitutional overreach of regulatory agencies in this country, because I believe, this country was started because taxation without representation could not stand. But how is that any better than regulation without representation for all these agencies, the EPA, the FEC, the FCC, and just go right down the alphabet list, the IRS and all of them coming after American citizens, enforcing rules that are really laws because they're enforceable by taking your property and putting you in jail, things that have never gone through Congress, have never been approved, are not constitutional by any measure. And hopefully the court could overturn it this time with another case in front of the high court. I know you've been paying attention. What do you make of it?
Yeah, and when you say the Chevron doctrine, what you're, for our listeners, what we're referring to here is, this doctrine that court has taken somewhere along the line and says, hey, when these unelected agencies that are not politically accountable to anybody, that then, put within their same agency an enforcement agency, that sub-agency that enforces this rule that they have imposed upon you, and then they adjudicate it in front of an adjudicatory agency within the same agency. All of these are within the same place, no separation of powers. You're having a rule that is enforced upon you that they've made up, and now they're adjudicating it. And the Chevron rule was a rule that says, courts have to basically listen to some of these findings. And that's going to end, I hope and pray, when it's in the Supreme Court this time, because once again,
well, I hope so
it's
too.
a lot.